So last class we started our discussion on transient circuits, and in transient circuits I said that there will be first order circuit and second order circuit. So depending upon how many energy storage elements are there, we count whether the circuit is the first order or second order. If the circuit is containing only one inductor or a capacitor, then the circuit is first order. And if the circuit is having a combination of inductors and capacitors, then that is a second order. The order is corresponding to the order of the differential equation, because when you write the equation, you will find that the voltage and the current will form in the differential equation. And the equations will be either in the first order differential equation or second order differential equation. We have started our discussion with the first order, that is RC circuit and RL circuit. And we also discussed that the source or the excitation that we are going to give, either it will be source free, which is known as the natural response, or it will be forced response. When we say about the natural response, it means that the circuit is not connected with any source, and it is only the stored energy in the inductor or a capacitor that is responsible for driving the circuit. So first discussion was for the RC circuit. Now in this lecture we'll focus on RL circuit, and we will see the transient response. So let us consider the RL circuit now. First we'll go with the source free response, and then we will combine the source. So the methods and the solutions that we are going to adopt here will be similar to the one which we have discussed in the RC circuits. So the steps involved in solving any RL or RC circuit containing a DC source. So general steps, let us see what are the general steps containing a DC sources. So first step is that you have to apply the KCL and KVL to write the circuit equations, and then the equation will be containing the integral or differential term, because inductor and capacitors are present. Then that has to be converted into pure differential equation, either in the dy by dx form or d2y by dx square form, whether it is a first order or second order. Now the solution, general form of the solution is k1 plus k2 e to the power st, right? This is the general form of solution. Now consider here that I have applied the DC source, whereas in the first case we are discussing the source free. So these general solution is for everything, combining the sources. Now we have to obtain the coefficient k1 and k2, which are the constant term. So the solution coefficients k1 can be obtained by from the steady state in nature. When the circuit is in steady state, what is the value of k1 that we are going to obtain? However, the value of k2 is we are going to obtain from the initial condition of the inductor or capacitor, and then we are going to write the final solution. So these 1 to 6 step are the step which is common for RL circuit or RC circuit, whether source is there or source is not there. Now if the source is not there, then we will be not dealing with the coefficient k1. Our general solution will be in the form of k2 e to the power st. So we have started our discussion for the source free responses. So let us start with RL transient response, similar to the RC one. So here we have one inductor and one resistor. So inductor is having initial current at time t equal to 0, which is equal to I naught. It means that inductor will have some amount of energy. So the energy of the inductor will be half L I naught square, where I naught is the current at the instant t equal to 0. Now we know that when there is a series circuit and there is a RL component, we can write the equation VL plus VR is equal to 0. So this is in accordance with Kirchhoff's voltage law. The sum of the voltage in the inductor and resistor is 0. Why 0? Because we are not applying any source to the circuit. We have also seen in the lecture of inductor that the voltage across an inductor is L di by dt. Whereas from the Ohm's law, we know that VR is equal to I into R. It means this equation of KVL we can modify it and write in the form of differential equation. However, the equation will be further modified to give it the standard form. So the standard first order differential equation will be written in the form of di by dt plus r by L into current I is equal to 0. Now you see that the function of this equation is with respect to the current. So this is the function of current I. Whereas when we were having RC circuit, then we were having the equation, differential equation as a function of voltage. So that is the difference. Whenever you will be having a capacitor, your variable will be voltage. Whenever you are having an inductor, your variable is current. So we are having the first order differential equation di by dt plus r by L, current I is equal to 0 where the variable is current. So can we obtain the solution to this equation, that is the current I? Then we need to integrate both the side and try to find out the current. So on putting the definite integral 0 to t, we are getting an equation in the form of this. Now rearranging this equation and taking it to the exponential form, the solution will be I of t is equal to I naught e to the power minus RT by L. Okay. If you remember the previous equation that we have derived in terms of the capacitor, our variable was voltage. So here we were having V of t, and it was the initial condition which was the capacitor voltage. So we were having V naught, and then we were having e to the power minus t by tau. If you remember the previous equations that we have done. So whereas the value of tau is equal to RC. So this we have derived for the RC circuit. Now the same assumption consideration we are going to do for the RL circuit. So we have an equation which we have derived, IT is equal to I naught e to the power minus R by L into T. It means that the equation of the current is starting from the initial current of I naught, and then it is exponentially decaying. So the natural response means the response which is obtained for the RL circuit when no source is present and only the stored energy is there. So it is an exponential decay of the initial current. If you have a RC circuit, then it will have exponential decay of initial voltage. So that is the difference between a RL circuit and RC circuit. So if we write the general form of the solution, I of t is equal to I naught e to the power minus t by tau, so we can see that the tau time constant is equal to L by R. It means that the time constant in the equation is L by R. So we have already defined the time constant in the previous lecture, where we have said that the time constant is that time at which the current reaches 36.8% of the initial value, that is I naught. The unit is in second. So time constant unit is in second because it is on the time axis. So we have to remember this general solution of the current of the inductor under the RL circuit condition for the natural response. That is I of t is I naught e to the power minus t by tau, where tau being the time constant is equal to L by R. Then we have to determine the voltage through the resistor R, that is equal to, from the Ohm's law, I into R. Current we have already determined, so multiply that with your resistor, you will get the value of the voltage. Now why the current is same? Because it is a series circuit. We have seen that you have a resistor and you have a inductor. So both you have are in series circuit. So same current is flowing in the circuit. The same current is flowing in the circuit. Now talking about the power. So power is the product of voltage into current, and we have determined the voltage of the resistor. You multiply that with the current equation that we have got. So the power equation is I naught square into resistor multiplied with e to the power minus 2t by tau. Whereas the energy now for the resistor, that is dissipating energy from the instant 0 to t, integral for the power equation p dt, you will be getting an equation half L I naught square 1 minus e to the power minus 2t by tau. So what we are noting from this equation is that when time reaches infinity, then the energy of the circuit is equal to half L I naught square, or the energy of the resistor. It means that the initial energy that is stored in the inductor has been dissipated in the resistor, and the circuit has reached to the steady state where the inductor is not having any amount of energy, because the entire energy which is present in the inductor has been dissipated in the capacitor for time t equal to infinity. So the energy initially stored in the inductor is eventually dissipated in the resistor, and the inductor has become charge free. Now when you are dealing with any question related to RL circuit and you need to obtain the natural response of the circuit, then in that case the problems will be solved for using these particular steps. So what are the steps that you will be using? First, you need to determine the current I of 0, that is, what is the current at time t equal to 0, that is equal to I naught through the inductor. This is the first step. Second step is that you determine the time constant tau of the circuit. So you know that time constant is equal to L by R of the circuit. So once you have determined the time constant, you can write the inductor current equation, which is the current that is flowing in the entire circuit, because you have a series circuit. So here you have the current I naught, that is the initial value of the current, e to the power minus t by tau. So your unknowns are tau, which you have to calculate, and I of 0, which you have to calculate. Then you will be getting the inductor current or the current that is flowing in the circuit. Now once you have determined the current that is flowing through the inductor, it is easy to determine the voltage of the inductor, the voltage of the resistor, and the current that is flowing through the resistor. So the other variables you will be able to determine once you have computed the value of IL. Now one thing you have to note is that when we write tau is equal to L by R, here R is not very simple because it is a part of a complex circuit. So R will be equal to R Thevenin at the inductor terminal. Means inductor will be acting as a load or the variable part which you have to remove from the circuit. Once you remove the inductor from the circuit, at that terminal you measure the value of R Thevenin. Then in that case tau will be equal to L by R. Similar thing we have done in the previous lecture. We have done R Thevenin multiplied with capacitor. So capacitor here is basically the variable quantity, that is the load that we are removing from the circuit to determine the value of time constant. So here we are determining L by R, there we are determining R Thevenin into C. Let us solve one example to understand the problem. Now assume that the current I naught is equal to 10 ampere, that is the current which is flowing through the inductor at time t equal to 0 is 10 ampere, or rather we can say that the inductor initial current is 10 ampere, which is the current that is stored in the inductor. Calculate the current I of t and Ix of t. I of t is the current which is flowing through the inductor. Ix of t is the current which is flowing through the resistor. Now the first thing that we need to observe is whether the circuit is having any source or not. So first you observe whether the circuit is having any source or not. While observing, we see that the circuit is having one source. However, the source is a dependent source. Source is a dependent source. It means that the circuit is not having any independent source. It means that we have to obtain the natural response of the circuit. We need to obtain the natural response of the circuit. If the circuit is having independent source, then the problem will be not under the category of natural response, but the category will be forced response. So, however, we have not discussed forced response, and our problem in hand is independent of the independent source. So only dependent source is there in the circuit. It means the problem lies in the category of natural response. Now what we have to determine, the first we have to determine what is the value of R Thevenin. This is the first thing that we need to determine. However, the first item has to be what is the initial current. But since it is given in the problem, we need not to worry for that. But we need to determine the R Thevenin. Why we need to determine R Thevenin? Because we want to determine what is the value of tau. So tau is equal to L by R equivalent or R Thevenin. Where R Thevenin? At the inductor terminal. So this is our inductor. Here we need to determine R Thevenin. So this is my terminal A and this is my terminal B. So what I have to do is that terminal AB, the inductor will be removed from the circuit. If I remove from the circuit the inductor, I need to determine the R Thevenin. Now, if this source is not there, only a resistor is there in the network, then it was very easy that you could have applied the series parallel concept and you could have determined the R Thevenin. But since we have a dependent current, we can't find the R Thevenin directly using the series parallel concept. In that case, we have to go alternatively by connecting a voltage source of 1 volt. You can also connect a current source of 1 ampere as your wish. So here I have connected a voltage source of 1 volt and I need to determine what is the current I0 flowing in the circuit from the voltage source. Then in that case my R Thevenin will be equal to the voltage V0 divided by the current I0. Voltage V0 I have already connected, that is 1 volt. So I need to determine what is the current I0 that is flowing in the circuit. Now, to determine the current I0, I can apply any known concept that we have studied in circuit, any theorems. So here we can apply the mesh analysis. So if we apply the mesh analysis and write the KVL equation for the two meshes, KVL 1, KVL 2, and then we determine the unknown variables I1 and I2, then we can say that the current I0 that is flowing in the network is equal to minus of current I1, because I0 and I1 are flowing in the reverse direction. So we apply the mesh analysis, write two equations and find the value of I1 and I2. Once we have found out the value of I1 and I2, I0 is equal to minus or plus 3 ampere, because I1 is minus 3 ampere. So we have got that I0 is equal to 3 ampere when 1 volt source has been applied in the network. It means that the value of R equivalent, first we have to determine. R equivalent or R Thevenin is equal to the voltage V0 divided by the current I0 that we have computed. So I0 is 3 ampere. It means my R Thevenin is 1 by 3 ohms. If the R Thevenin is 1 by 3 ohms, I can calculate the time constant of the circuit. Time constant of the circuit is L by R equivalent. So the inductor value is 0.5 and the R equivalent is 1 by 3 ohms. It means the time constant is 3 by 2 or 1.5 second. We can write 1.5 second. Now the fundamental equation of the current is I of t is equal to I0, whereas I0 is given to be 10 ampere, then we can put 10 ampere e to the power minus t by tau, whereas my tau is equal to equal to 2 by 3. So tau is 3 by 2, so the reverse will be 2 by 3 into t. So this is the equation that we have got for the current I of t. So the current that is flowing in through the inductor, we have got it. Now we need to determine what is the current that is flowing through the resistor. Now these two are in parallel, so it means the voltage will remains the same for both the inductor and the resistor. So the first thing that we need to determine is what is the potential or the voltage across the inductor. We know that the voltage is L di by dt, whereas the current we have obtained, differentiate the current with respect to time, you will be getting the voltage that is across the inductor, minus 10 by 3 e to the power minus 2 by 3 into t volt. Once we have got the voltage, now it will be easy to determine the current through the resistor. So the current that is flowing through the resistor is equal to the voltage divided by the resistance, that is 2 ohms. So we can substitute and find the value of the current that is flown in the network through the resistor. So this is one simple problem that we have discussed for the RL circuit under the natural response. Natural response because there is no source, independent source connected in the circuit. Only the current, which is the initial current that is stored in the inductor, is responsible for the driving of the network. So this solution we have seen. Now we have completed the two discussion, that is the RC circuit and RL circuit under the natural response. This we have covered. If we need to go further, means we have to apply some forced source or the forced response we need to get. We need some mathematical understanding of the circuit or the sources. We need to understand the mathematical source, okay, that will be required to solve the forced response. Then our next topic will be singularity function. So this comes under mathematics control systems. However, overview I will be giving you because it will require for us. So a basic understanding of singularity function will help us make sense of the response of the first order circuit to a certain application of an independent DC voltage or current source. Now you see that our next target is to obtain the forced response. So when we apply the forced response, that is independent DC voltage or a current source, then we need to have a clear understanding of the singularity function first. So singularity function, otherwise the other name is the switching function, that are very useful in the circuit analysis. Now why it is very useful in the circuit analysis? Because they serve as good approximations to the switching signal that arise in the circuit with switching operation. So suppose your network, you are having one switch and you are having one resistor and inductor. This switch is closed at time t equal to 0, or the switch is open after time t equal to suppose 5 seconds. So there is some switching operation going on in the circuit. If there is some switching operation going in the circuit, then the source, this voltage or the current, we need to model it with some mathematical equation. So that are known as the singularity functions, and they will be very helpful in modeling the switching operations. The singularity functions are the functions that either are discontinuous or have discontinuous derivatives. Now understand, because of switching operation, your circuit no longer remain to be continuous, or the source that is applied in the circuit is not continuous, rather than it is a discontinuous apply of the source and will have a discontinuity derivative. So there will be discontinuous derivative. The three most widely used singularity functions in circuit analysis that we are going to cover is the unit step function, unit impulse function, and unit ramp function. These are the three most independent or useful that mathematical equations that will be useful for the sources, and we are going to study that: unit step function, unit impulse function, and unit ramp function. So first let us see the unit step function. So these responses of unit step function. Now why we say unit step? Why we say unit? Unit is because the amplitude is 1 we have taken. So if the amplitude is 1, we say to be unit. Now this is a discontinuous function. Discontinuous. Discontinuous means that with respect to time t, the signal amplitude will change. That is the knowing as discontinuous function. Now we will study the unit step function. Let us see. So from the mathematical equation of the unit step function, so when we say u of t, we should understand that we are dealing with step function. Step functions are denoted by u of t. So what is the equation for u of t? U of t for time t less than 0 is equal to 0. It means that for any time t less than 0, our amplitude is 0. For any time t greater than 0, our amplitude is 1. So we can see that for any time t greater than 0, our amplitude is 1. However, this switching operation has occurred at time t equal to 0. If the switching operation is delayed or it is advanced, then what will happen? Means the 0 time will be converted to t naught. T naught can be anything, whether it is 2 second, 3 second or 5 second. Then the equation will be written in the form of u of t minus t naught for a delayed function, u of t plus t naught for an advanced function. So here you can see that the time t naught is the delayed time at which the switching has happened. So any time below the delayed time or the switching operation time, your magnitude will be 0, and after that your magnitude will be 1. Here the switching operation has taken place at minus t naught. So any time below minus t naught will be 0, the voltage amplitude, and any time after that will be having a magnitude of 1. So these are the equations of unit step function. So we have written unit because the magnitude is always 1 for unit step function. Now where do we use such type of step functions? So generally step functions, those are discontinuous functions. They are represented by abrupt change in the voltage or the current, like the change that occur in the circuit in control systems or digital computers. For example, let us take for a voltage signal. So for a voltage signal V of t, if your condition is this, what is the condition? That for time t less than t naught, voltage is 0. For time t greater than t naught, the voltage is V naught. So can we draw that graph? Then what is the graph? This is my time axis. This is my voltage axis. Then for time t less than t naught, so obviously there's some delay is there here, t naught. So before that the voltage magnitude is 0. From t greater than t naught, the voltage magnitude is V naught. So here the voltage magnitude is V naught. So we have studied the step function, and step function equation we have seen. What is the step function equation we have seen? U of t is equal to 1 for a unit step function multiplied with u of t minus t naught, because there is a delayed function of t naught. Now here we are given equation V naught. It means we have to multiply the equation with respect to V naught. Sorry, this equation is written wrong. U of t minus t naught. We can write the equation that is 0 and 1 for t less than 0 and t greater than t naught. Less than t naught and greater than t naught. Okay. Now here when we define the step function, we have defined for a unit amplitude. So here you have a V naught amplitude. So multiply the equation with V naught. So irrespective of these big mathematical symbol, we can simply write the equation of the voltage in the form of this. So it looks very simple, where we write V of t is equal to V naught, that is the amplitude. Here you see we have converted 1 to V naught, multiplied with the step function u t minus t naught, indicating that the switching operation has occurred at time t naught. So the step functions are very important in modeling the any abrupt change in the voltage or the current. Now for the same condition, if we want to redraw the circuit, if we are writing V naught of u of t, then we can draw the similar circuit in the form of a switching operation, that for time t equal to 0, the switch is connected to the circuit where the amplitude is V naught. If you have the current I naught u of t, it means that the circuit which was short circuited for time t equal to 0, it is reconnected to the rest part of the circuit with an amplitude I naught. So these step functions are very important when we try to show the abrupt change in the voltage and the current. Now next we'll take unit impulse function. Unit impulse function is basically the derivative of the unit step function u of t, that is del of t, which is the unit impulse function. Del of t is the impulse function, is basically the derivative d by dt, derivative of unit step function u of t. Now in terms of definition of impulse function, the impulse function, which is unit means amplitude 1, which is represented by del of t, is 0 everywhere except at t equal to 0. Means only at time t equal to 0 you will get the amplitude, otherwise everywhere the impulse function will be 0. Now when we write t equal to 0, we mean to say that time t equal to t naught, that is the reason where it is undefined. So for time t equal to 0, that is at the switching operation, there will be del of t of unit amplitude, and all condition it will be 0. So here only 1 will be there at time t equal to 0. That is the impulse function. So we can see that the impulse function is defined for time t equal to 0. So this time t equal to 0, there is an amplitude on the y-axis. Now there is no amplitude at any other time except at 0. So del of t, which is the differential of the step function for time t less than 0 and time t greater than 0, everywhere it is 0. Only at time t equal to 0 it will be undefined. Okay, that is, it will have a sudden shock to a circuit. So impulsive current and voltage occur in electric circuit as a result of switching operation or impulsive sources. When your circuit is having a sudden application of source for a very microsecond or a nanosecond time, then that result in the impulsive source, and the current will flow impulsive current in the electric circuit due to switching operation. Although the unit impulse function is not physically realizable, just like an ideal source or an ideal resistor, it is very useful mathematical tool. You will not able to physically realizable this impulse function, but it is very mathematical useful tool, because when we try to obtain the response, we try to get it of the circuit for a sudden shock which is there for microsecond or nanosecond time, then the unit impulse is very important source. So it can be visualized as a very short duration pulse of unit area. So the area of the impulse will be of unit area. Then we can write the equation mathematically is del t dt. So impulse function, if we are integrating from 0 minus to 0 plus, 0 minus simply means that time t equal to 0 minus means less than t naught, any time less than t naught. Time when we say 0 plus, it means that any time greater than t naught. Okay, that area del, that is the impulse function area, if we integrate for a very short duration of time, that will be giving us unit area. That is one. So unit area is known as the strength of the impulse function. So how much strength we have for the impulse function, that is given by the unit area. Now when an impulse function has a strength other than unity, means the strength is not unity but other than unity, the area of the impulse is equal to its strength. Now here let us see three impulse function. One impulse function is at time t equal to 0, that is equal to 10 del t. 10 del t means the strength is equal to 10, and other impulse function at time 3 second we have minus 4 del t minus 3, because there is a advanced function, so it is having minus 4 as the strength. Here at minus 2 time you have a strength of 5, so we have written 5 del t of t. So your equation t del is equal to del t plus or minus t naught, we can write, where t naught will indicate the switching operation, whether it is a delayed function or whether it is an advanced function, and these will be multiplied with some constant a, which is the strength of the impulse function. Now the final function that we are going to define is unit ramp function. So if we integrate the unit step function u of t, we are basically getting the ramp function r of t. So ramp function is denoted by r of t, step function is denoted by u of t, and impulse function is denoted by del of t. Now ramp function, if we try to obtain graphically, then it is a sudden jump in the form of linear function. So here we can see that at time t equal to 0, it has started and moving linearly, and it is a delayed function for t naught, it is an advanced function at t naught. So these are basically the ramp function. In terms of the equation, if you want to write the ramp function is the integration of the step function, so which is equal to tu of t, then the equation that we have written for u of t, that is u of t is equal to 0 for t less than 0, and it is equal to 1 for t greater than 0. This we have written. So here we need to multiply only t, so that will give you us 0 here, and here you will get t for r of t. Now these two functions are for delayed function and advanced function, where the switching operation has taken place at t naught. So any time below t naught will be 0, and this will be t minus t naught. Here it will be t plus t naught, and here it will be 0 for less than t naught. So generally you have to remember these equations so that we can model any sources, whether it is an impulse function, whether it is a step function, or whether it is a ramp function. So impulse function is the derivative of the step function, and step function we can say the derivative of ramp function, or otherwise the step function is the integral of impulse function, ramp function is the integral of step function. So these anyway, either in the differential way or other the integral way, you have to remember this equation. So we have discussed a few singularity functions which we are going to use in the next lecture for carrying the forced